It was a warning, and it was, I guess, a declaration of war. He said he is a believer in judicial reform, but not this way. He said you can't, because you have 3 extra votes in the parliament, impose it in such a way on behalf of the population who are mortified, angry, and riled up. He said this is not the way to achieve a judicial reform. What he wants to happen is for it to go back for a proper discussion, take a pause now, involve the other side, and get a judicial reform that everybody can put their voice to and their vote to and have some part in, and not feel their democracy is being stolen. Interestingly, he said that as a military man all his life, what he assesses is that this divide in the community is now starting to spill over into the military. There have been instances of people, including from units that he once led, coming along and saying, we will simply not serve, because if you're going to have reserves, a people's army has to be in a democracy. And so he said that that is so dangerous for the military at a time when Israel actually has very high risks all around it. So for all these reasons, he's come out against the reforms being put forward by his own prime minister.
Well, yeah, meanwhile, there's no sign the pressure is letting up on Netanyahu, on several fronts. He was in London yesterday and he was met by protesters there.
He was met by protesters there. They say a change is as good as a holiday, but he took his reality with him, and he walked down Downing Street to greet the British Prime Minister to cries of Demokratia and shame, shame, shame by people who are carrying Israeli flags. And tonight we are seeing the largest protests we've seen so far in this relentless 3 months of protests. They're estimating that the main protest in Tel Aviv has 200,000 people. There are protests at 150 locations across this very small country. And you can see that the head of steam that's building up here is actually building up for a confrontation. And the reason is that this is the week that they're going to pass the extra legislation about choosing the Supreme Court judges. And I think that's why you see this, they're running to the finish line, both sides actually. But I think the demonstrators are running to the finish line. It's a week, they said, such as they have never planned before. And I don't think there's not going to be a let up unless we see a pullback in line with what the Defence Minister has called for.